Good evening. It's Mayor Weinstein. I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to ask everyone who's joining us tonight if you could please share this with your friends, with your different social media platforms, with your groups that you're part of. We'll reach a lot more people. Tonight, we're going to talk about an important message from Passover. We're just days before Pesach starts, and there's a lot going on in the Jewish world. There's a lot to talk about. So I'll just give it a moment for more people to join us, and then we'll get right into it. So just give it a moment. And again, please share this with your friends on Facebook, on social media, and with the different groups and pages that you're part of. We'll reach a lot more people, and whatever platforms you're on, if you're on Twitter or Instagram, share it. We'll reach a lot more people and have a stronger impact. We're living in historic times, very interesting elections in Israel just happened. We'll see what the final results are. There's a lot of positive out of this election right now. We'll talk about that a little later tonight. But we're going to be talking about the Pesach Seder, and we're going to be focusing on, there's a special message there. The Haggadah talks about 4 sons, and we're going to focus on one of the sons, the wicked son. But I'll still give it a few moments for people to join us. So actually, maybe we could just watch a very short video right now. And this is a video of an imam talking about exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight, the wicked son, the Rasha. So if our doctor in the studio could show that video, then I'm sure a lot more people will be joining us.
Have it momentarily, and here it goes. Thanks, Meir.
Yes, Jews, there are Jews who are with you on this cause. Yes, not all of them are bad. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Minhum al-mu'minuna wa aktharuhum al-fasiqun." Yes, there are believers among them, but most of them are fasiq, disobedient. They are fasiq. But there are those among the Christians and the Jews who are doing the work for us, as a matter of fact.
Let me just read what it says in the Haggadah, and we'll talk about this. Just like that Imam said, there are Jews who are helping them to liberate Jerusalem. When we finish the Pesach Seder, the last words that we say in the Haggadah is, next year in Jerusalem. And when you have an imam standing up in his mosque preaching to his congregants, and it's going on social media, being shared, and he says they're using certain Jews to help them liberate Jerusalem, Al-Quds, from the Jewish state. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. Here's the Haggadah. What does the wicked son say? What does this service mean to you? Implying to you, but not to him. And because he has excluded himself from the community, he has denied one of the fundamental principles of Judaism. How do you talk to him? What do you say? What the Haggadah continues. You must blunt his teeth and tell him, because of this, Hashem did for me when I left Egypt, implying for me, but not for him. Had he been there, he would not have been redeemed. Let's understand. When the Jews left Egypt, the majority of Jews did not leave Egypt under Moses. They stayed. In fact, they died in the plague of darkness. They died. Only 1/5 of the Jews left Egypt with Moses. That's it. We have had throughout the ages Jews who had, in fact, I had some messages from some people saying that this part of the Haggadah, where it talks about the wicked son, they said that was added to the Haggadah centuries ago, and that referred to Jews who converted to Christianity and started to degrade Judaism. So we have had persecution from the church throughout the centuries. Synagogues burnt. Martin Luther, who led the Reformation, the Protestant movement, he said, burn their synagogues, burn their Talmuds, because they won't convert. In the Holocaust, Joseph Tiso was the leader of Slovakia, the head of the Hlinka Slovak People's Party. And Jews were pleading with him, don't help Hitler. Spare our children. And he said, and he was a Catholic priest, and he was hung at Nuremberg. And he said, they didn't convert to Christianity, they deserve death. And all the other Jews there. And you have Jews who joined the church because they saw no other way to survive, survival of the fittest. And so we have groups today. Jewish Voice for Peace, If Not Now. A whole laundry list of these BDS organizations that have joined the BDS organization to demonize Israel. Now, we have talked in a previous show about the BDS organization. They have embraced the BDS National Committee. The National Committee of the BDS was founded in Ramallah. The composition of the BDS National Committee includes Hamas, Islamic Jihad, PFLP, etc., organizations on the terror list in most Western countries, in I believe every Western country. And you have these so-called Jewish organizations that are embracing the BDS National Committee, which includes those groups. So what should be the response when they are attacking Israel? When BDS organizations are using them to say, look, we have Jews on our side attacking Israel. We must be right. I believe we have some video of some of these so-called Jewish groups that are even saying Kaddish for Hamas, praying for Hamas. There have been organizations like Canary Mission who have been exposing them. There's a lot. So we have another video. Our doctor in the studio could show this video. Hopefully we can get it up there right now. Now, again, just remember what it says in the Haggadah, how to deal with these traitors from amongst us. Let me read it again. Then I'm going to explain something very important here, a serious problem in the Jewish community and how to deal with them. What does the wicked son say? What does this service mean to you? Implying to you, but not to him. And because he has excluded himself from the community, he has denied one of the fundamental principles of Judaism. You blunt his teeth and tell him, because of this, Hashem did for me when I left Egypt, implying for me, but not for him. Had he been there, he would not have been redeemed. So again, let's just go over that for just a moment. What does the wicked son say? What does this service mean to you? Today they are saying, what does Israel mean to you? What's it mean to you? Throw it away. Give it up to the Arabs. Fast. Go for a swim. I don't want to be involved in the struggle advocating for Israel. I'm sick and tired of my heritage. A laundry list of ideas they could come up with. A few days ago, Brooke Goldstein, a good Jew, she runs the Lawfare Project. They do excellent work against the BDS. But unfortunately, she agreed to have a debate with Peter Beinart. Peter Beinart is on record for stating that he is against Israel as a Jewish state, and he will work 24/7 against Israel as a Jewish state. He makes that very clear. And Brooke Goldstein thought that there was some way that she could convince him that we have something in common to fight against anti-Semitism. Now, here's the issue. He embraces the BDS, and he may say in a twisted way, well, that's not really so. You look at who he associates with, all the leaders of the BDS, some of the most vicious ones. And again, the composition of the BDS National Committee includes Hamas, Islamic Jihad, the PFLP, and other terrorist organizations. And they want to wipe out Israel. And he has no problem with their so-called narrative. You never give these people a platform. I asked my rabbi in the synagogue this past Shabbat how to deal with these types of Jews who join the other side, who join the enemies. How do we deal with them? What should our response be? And he said, it says clearly in the Talmud, one who shows compassion on the cruel will show cruelty to those who deserve compassion. These people have decided that they want to unify themselves, connect with those who support Hamas, those who murder Jews. They believe it's a virtual concept to do this. And we have to pay attention this Pesach from what it says in the Haggadah. It says, you must blunt his teeth and tell him. Now, I'm not saying go after these people and attack, but the Haggadah is very clear. You don't help them. You don't help promote them. You don't walk up to them when there's a protest going on against Israel and Jews are countering the anti-Israel protest. You don't start approaching these Jews who have joined the BDS and ask them if we could put tefillin on them. You don't do that. They crossed the red line already. They are with the Erev Rav worshiping the golden calf. And we have to have principles. We have to stand up for principles. Are there any more videos in the studio that we could show to drive this point home? We have videos of, they're saying Kaddish for Hamas terrorists. Can you believe this? So here's one coming up. Okay, so that was a group of BDS Jews, and I'll say that in quotations, in Vancouver, saying Kaddish for Hamas terrorists in Gaza. We have others in other cities as well. You know, here's an issue to consider. Here's a serious issue. Just a few weeks ago, there was a ruling from the Supreme Court in Israel. They want to change the definition of what it means to be a Jew to move to Israel. They want to change the conversion law in Israel to say that Reform conversions they have no issue with. Now, you know, maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or something like that, you had different rabbis that were in the Reform movement and the conservative movement. They had synagogues that were full of congregants. Today, fast forward, today, it's not like that. You have, in some of these synagogues or temples, you have rabbis that have embraced the BDS that are anti-Israel. So here's the question. Here's something to consider. Is the Supreme Court, and by the way, one of the main groups that was active in the campaign to finance the campaign to appeal to these judges was the New Israel Fund. And the New Israel Fund finances BDS efforts against Israel, finances an organization called B'Tselem, who made representation to the United Nations Security Council to demonize Israel. They made representation to the International Criminal Court to go after Israel and prosecute Israel. And that's another organization that said, oh, we don't support the BDS, not us. No, they do. They do. So those who are knowledgeable on the subject, and there's NGO Monitor, they do great work and they uncover a lot of information there about the New Israel Fund. Are these Supreme Court judges the ones who amended the law, and it definitely is going to be, it's not over. Are they saying that BDS rabbis in diaspora, wherever they are, have the right to say that someone who considers himself to be a Palestinian, that he could convert and come and make Aliyah to Israel and bring more and more and more of his buddies and present a possible demographic nightmare to Israel and throw the whole idea of a Jewish state out the window. That's something to be very concerned with. Let me just see. We have more information. That's one issue. There's a lot of issues. And again, these so-called rabbis, like the one you saw in Vancouver, they've crossed over the red line. And they're what we refer to as the wicked son. Let's see. We have a BDS organization in Canada, so-called Jewish BDS organization. They put it out. They collected signatures from faculty, Jewish faculty, so-called Jewish faculty, to say that Jewish faculty in Canada against the adoption of the IRA working definition of anti-Semitism. They have a list of so-called Jewish professors from universities, and they're appealing to the government on every level not to adopt the IRA definition of anti-Semitism. Let's just see, hang on. We sent out some information the other day. There's a whole list of different cities where these BDS Jewish groups are having Passover Seders. They call for the liberation of Palestine. So this is what we have to bear in mind. I have to keep emphasizing this because this is one of the serious problems that we have. And, you know, and I support the Lawfare Project and Brooke Goldstein. I think she, you know, again, I can't emphasize enough. They're doing fabulous work, but somehow she got duped into providing a platform for Peter Beinart in the hope that, you know, you're a Jew, I'm a Jew, I'm sure we could agree 100%. That's a major problem there. We can't agree on that at all. You can't agree. You can't provide any kind of a platform for them. I think there's another video that we have that we could show.
Hey, Mayor, this video is very interesting. It shows a gentleman, an Arab, who's been invited by the rabbi saying Kaddish to say a few words. So I thought our audience might enjoy these few words. I'm going to cue that up in a moment.
Okay, very good.
Muslims and the Arabs didn't harm any Jew in the history. The 6 million Jews that in Europe, the Palestinians have nothing to do with that. They opened their arms and heart for them to come. But this is what happened. We are not at all as faith, as an Arab, as a Palestinian, we are not against my brothers and sisters of the Judaism faith. We are being deprived and our land being stolen, our ancestors.
So again, if you couldn't quite hear what he's saying is how well the Arabs and Jews got along through history and how that they were not the cause of the Holocaust. In fact, they sheltered the Jews, when in reality we're very clear, Myron, you can expand on actually what really happened regarding the Muslims and Jews during the Holocaust.
Well, you had the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem that collaborated with Hitler. And if the Nazis were able to conquer the Middle East, which was one of their goals, they would have murdered all the Jews in Israel at the time, 100%, no question about it. there was actual SS units, I believe in Croatia, in fact, that were under the auspices of the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem, and he was a frequent visitor of Hitler's. So that's 100%. They were helping Jews. Jewish communities were being massacred before the creation of the State of Israel. And when the State of Israel came into being, and with an influx of Holocaust survivors, because the Holocaust ended in 1945, you had Arab countries, together with the Arabs in the new State of Israel, converging on that new state to destroy it. So what kind of help was there? I'm not interested in Holocaust denial. When somebody starts denying the realities of the Holocaust and the years just after the Holocaust, we have to call it out. And when you see that that's what they're doing, that group there, that they're saying Kaddish for Hamas, and they have an individual speaking to them and falsifying history, again, it's very clear here what to say. You don't invite them into your home for a Pesach Seder at all. You don't assist them, giving them a platform in the Jewish community. You don't have to go out of your way and create any harm personally for these people or anything like that. But on a level of assisting the Jewish community, you never assist them with having any kind of a platform at all. And we've had some occurrences, Jewish organizations being duped by organizations that are involved with the New Israel Fund. They have to be called out. And we have to strengthen our Jewish organizations here. The CEO of CEJA here in Canada, the main Jewish advocacy organization, Shimon Fogel, he's been very clear about this. He's written articles about these BDS groups. Hang on, there's a call coming. I don't know if the speaker could hear me. 1 second. You're on.
Hi, Meir. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I don't have the speaker here, so I could hear you, but if you want to say something.
I know.
Actually, we could hear him loud and clear. It's going
You can
fine.
hear him? Oh,
Yes.
great. Okay, go ahead, Zaz.
They can hear me? Okay,
Yes.
good. So that video of the Imam talking about using the Jews as tools, one thing he said was something that stood out too, was not all Jews are bad.
Right. Right.
Imagine if someone else, but any other group and stuff, right?
Right.
Wow, what
Right.
a backlash,
100%.
Yeah, 100%. And also, we've done a lot of protests we've had a lot of rallies in front of Israeli consulate. And when there would be like a convention down the street
Yep.
of the NDP or the Liberals, there was always that they would come and be vicious with us.
Right.
It's funny. So why I'm saying that is Jagmeet Singh, just I think recently,
Right.
I think he put something in regards to not wanting to change the definition of anti-Semitism.
Actually, that's being discussed at their convention, but a lot of people are actually, the BDS is actually upset with him that he's not really listening to them.
He's always listening to them.
Right, right.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Well, let's see how that connection goes.
No, 100%. And I would say also I'd give some credit to CEJA because they've been working on that issue. They've been on top of it. Let me put it that way. So they've done some good work in that regard.
Great.
Yep.
Hope it'd be nice if many others stepped up too.
100%.
Anyways, okay. Have a good show.
Perfect.
I'll be watching.
Thank you.
Enjoy, guys.
Yeah, let me just mention also, whoever is watching the show, you could call in if you have any questions or comments. That's no problem. If we could show the number on the screen, The number is 647-510-5535. Please call if you have a question. No problem at all. You know, a lot of what we're talking about is definitely very upsetting to people. Let's get a comment from our studio right now, from our doctor in the studio. Let's
Hey,
go.
Mayor, a point I wanted to make is the naivety of some people that BDS is an isolated group amongst themselves that are fighting for rights of Palestinians. People don't really quite understand that BDS is so tightly merged together with Black Lives Matter, with Antifa.
Right.
They become a common group, and together they go and they support all these factions that are basically anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, anti-Zionist. So we don't isolate BDS as a unified group. They're a group which is basically an umbrella group for all of these other groups that are so opposed to BDS. I mean, so in favor of BDS, so opposed to Israel.
100%. 100%. Well put. Oh, we have a call coming. 1 second. Can I help you?
Yeah, hi. Is this the Weinstein show?
You got it.
Yeah. Let me see. Wait, let me turn this down. Hold on.
Okay.
There we go. Is there like I have to wait to talk to him?
No. You're speaking with him.
How does it?
You're on.
Oh, I thought you were on the screen.
I'm on the screen. Yes, I am. Maybe
okay.
your computer's a little delayed from mine. That could be.
Oh, okay. Anyway, my name's Alan.
Yeah.
I live in the United States. You're in Toronto, right?
Yeah. What city are you in?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Okay. I got some friends there.
Been here.
Yes.
We've got a large community here. Anyway, what I'm really concerned about is, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yep.
We have 70% of American Jews are basically traitors, and 30% or 35% Israeli Jews are essentially traitors, who are basically allied against Jews.
Go on.
So, the voting Democrat in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
voting for Obama, Biden, they're allied with Antifa, BDS, Black Lives Matter, like you were saying, in another video. I forgot which video it was, but it's one of them.
Yeah. We showed a few videos.
And in Israel, like you said, you have the Beit Salam, and you got these other groups, and,
Mm-hmm.
and you got these Tel Aviv types that I call it. I don't know if I should say that either. Like the Meir's people and
Yeah, but you know what? The majority of Jews in Israel, they vote. They're to the right. The majority.
Yeah, I know, but like I said, you got this 30-35%,
Yep.
which includes the Arab voters.
Okay.
Or more.
Right. Okay.
It might be more than that.
Right.
You got 25% of the population is Arab. Then you got another 25% that are traitors. That's 50%.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's that high, but okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, a friend of mine used to live in Israel. He was in New York, but,
Right.
we were talking about it. But, I mean, I'm just looking by the election.
Mhm.
Netanyahu's not even getting 50% of the vote.
Well,
and here's the deal.
Yep.
I don't care how corrupt the guy is. He's
Right.
the only guy to protect the country.
right.
You know it and I know it.
100%.
I mean, I don't care if he steals $50 million. He's the only guy to protect the country.
Yeah, but you know what? He did not steal $50 million. He had some cigars and scotch.
Some gifts and all that from these wealthy people. I know. I'm just, but I mean, the only other guy out there would be like maybe Yossi Cohn or Bennett, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
Like them types.
Right.
Because Netanyahu made a statement like a month ago. I don't know if you heard it. But he said he wanted Yossi Cohn to.
No, I know.
lead him
You're
in
right.
the future.
He was the head of the.
Did you hear him say it?
That's right. He was the head of the Mossad. He's slick. He's very good.
He said, when I'm half finished, I want Yossi Cohn to succeed me.
Right.
Or the ambassador, or the Israeli ambassador to the United States, I think. He's also mentioned him.
Okay.
But he don't want the job. He don't even want it.
Right.
He said it. But he said that's one of his, number two. But he said Yossi Cohn should be the guy.
Right.
Because Netanyahu's older. He's eventually got to retire or whatever.
Right.
Whatever's going to happen. But the point of concern is, like I said, 70% of American Jews don't like Israel.
Listen, there is a serious problem in the United States. There's no question about it.
And I'm not even religious, really.
Yeah, and you see it.
I was supposed to be raised Orthodox.
Right.
Supposed to be.
Right.
I went to Hebrew school and all
Right.
that. Or, not modern Orthodox.
Right.
Not Hasidic.
Right.
So, but I don't follow the laws and all that. But my viewpoints are Orthodox, I guess you could
Right.
say. Politics.
Well, here's the thing to consider with the new elections. Number one, you had the religious Zionist party that entered the, they threw their hat into the ring, and they received, the count is right now anywhere from 6 to 8 seats. And that is substantial. And that is a trend.
Is that the guy who supported the Baruch Goldstein guy?
Well, wait, I don't know about Baruch Goldstein and that, but he supported Rabbi Kahana.
Well, I never had a problem with Kahana.
Right.
Kahana was right.
100%.
He was right.
100%.
I think Israel needs a Netanyahu dictatorship. I really do.
Well,
A dictatorship.
he's a strong leader, Netanyahu.
Because the Supreme Court is trying to destroy the country.
And hopefully we get enough good people in there that will call for reform in the Supreme Court. You do have a lot of voices like that. It takes time to get new appointments into the Supreme Court. So hopefully that happens.
People are there for life, and I don't know who
Almost seems like that, right?
I'm not sure how it works. I don't know how it works in Israel. Who put them in?
I'll tell you who put them in. I'll tell you. When the Oslo Accords were being drafted, and you had a labor government back then under Rabin, and Yossi Beilin was the Minister of Justice, they worked tooth and nail to put in key positions into the judiciary, people they wanted to shape the country this. And it goes like that for a long time.
I thought Barack was in during Oslo. Or was it Bacon and Oslo?
No. It was Rabin who started Oslo, and that's right.
Got killed.
That's right. And the Justice Minister was Yossi Beilin. What's that? No, afterwards it was Barack. You're right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Barack was a big disappointment. I mean, he was giving the Palestinians the whole I don't know what. He was offering up everything.
That's right. But remember what he said after the talks went south. He said, "I exposed Arafat for what he is."
Well, Arafat agreed to do it, and then when he went home, he started a new intifada.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he did. I remember.
That's how they make peace.
Yeah, and Arafat claims that he agreed to it, but changed his mind because when he went home, they told him they would kill him.
Well, he says one thing in English and another in Arabic.
But you can't trust anything that guy says.
Right, 100%.
I mean, the guy was, a liar.
One of the number one terrorists in the world. Yes. 100%.
And what I'm worried about also is that because of the Biden administration,
yep,
Israel's got to look at the situation in Iran and say, do we do it now, or do we wait till Iran wait, and then Iran will be stronger when we do it later?
Well, listen, you and I, we don't know what Israel's going to do, but we do know what the chief of staff of the Israeli army has said, and he's on record, and he says, we're preparing right now to strike Iran.
You talking about Kohani?
That's right, 100%. So,
Kohani already says they got military plans.
That's right. Yes.
He made it public.
Yes.
3 weeks ago.
100%. 100%.
So I mean, I was telling a friend of mine. I said Israel's getting ready to go to war.
Could very well be.
I mean, they're doing construction on the Dimona, a nuclear plant now.
Right. Listen, here's the bottom line.
I think they're trying to put things underground and harden it.
Listen, they're doing lots, and therefore, if we're not in Israel yet, then we have an obligation as Jews to help Israel in any way we can. We have to speak out. We have to anything we could do to help, and we have to help.
I tell my friends because if Donald Trump's not in there, war's coming.
Well,
because Donald Trump's not in president.
Well, you see the kind of people that Biden has.
Israel was protected.
Yep.
He protected Israel.
Yep.
Whatever people don't like him or hate him or
right.
think he's this or that, he protected Israel regardless.
100%. But listen, thank God Israel is extremely strong right now anyway. So, we're great. Listen, we're going to have other people call. I want to thank you for your call. Thank you, Alan.
Appreciate it. All righty.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
And have a good Pesach. Very nice from Baltimore. My roommate from yeshiva lives in Baltimore. Went to yeshiva in Israel. Great yeshiva, Meir. It was the rabbis there. They're all living in different settlements, Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. Listen, anybody else wants the phone, you got a question, you got a comment you want to make, the number is on the screen, 647-510-5535. Let's see, our doctor in the studio, do we have any more videos, short clips that we could show? I don't want to make people too sick about what's going on, but we have to be educated.
Well, there's so much video clips, but I think one that we need to show every week is worthy of mention. That this guy probably has, I don't know how many tens of thousands of followers who thinks that he's actually funny.
Anti-Semitism, anti-Semitism, activism عندهم mark.
I mean, this guy's getting followers who think he's entertaining when in his spare time, I mean, this is his thought of kind of a hobby. He's the one who walks into supermarkets and harasses shoppers. He's the one who walks up to Hasidic Jews and just harasses them. And
How are you? Free Palestine. أيوة another يهودي ابن يهودي يهودا وما اليهيدا.
Can you imagine if somebody walked into an Asian grocery in New York City and started making fun of Asians and started talking about anything anti-Asian, or walked into a black grocery store in Harlem? I mean,
but
they get away with it with Jews.
Hello.
Hi, Meir, it's Renana. Can I make a comment?
Sure,
about
certainly.
The Arab role in the Holocaust?
Yes.
So, in my understanding, the Arabs are actually the key factor that enabled the Holocaust for two reasons.
Okay.
Number one, at the very beginning of the Nazi strike, the Arabs and the Nazis had an agreement that the Jews could leave. This was before the final solution. They could leave, but only to places from which they could never dream of getting to Palestine. That was the deal that the Mufti had with the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
So Jews couldn't leave because no one else wanted them.
Right.
And secondly, even if Jews could leave, they couldn't get into Palestine, which is the Roman name for Israel.
Right.
Again, because of the Arabs. Sovereignty in almost all the Middle East, nevertheless, flooded illegally into the Jewish land. Then they did their violence and claimed that they were the indigenous people. And in order to appease them, the British agreed to block the 6 million Jews. So both in Germany and with the British, the Arabs were the key factors that enabled 6 million Jews to be murdered.
100%. 100%. There you go. And let me add to that also. So, she left us. She made a good point. But let me just add, in terms of the issue of indigenous, we are going to be celebrating Passover in just a few days. And we read the Haggadah. We discuss Passover. We have discussions at the Seder table. And we go over our history. And the Jews, basic history is the Jews were in Israel with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then a famine started. The Jews went to Egypt to survive. And eventually the Egyptians oppressed the Jews. Moses led the Jews out of Egypt, led them to Israel. They entered Israel under Joshua. We had 2 temples there. We had kings there. We had prophets there. The Bible talks about it. The Christian Bible, they say Jesus was born in Bethlehem, which is in Judea. There was no Palestine in the Christian Bible. And somehow now, there are Christians too today now that are with the BDS that are anti-Israel. And they say there was no such thing as Judea. They don't even acknowledge their Bible. They certainly don't acknowledge the Jewish Bible, the Torah. But and then you have Arabs or a number of different Islamic organizations. They don't recognize our right to Israel. And the first faith that's known, you talk about the three great faiths, Judaism, Christianity, Islam. You know, when you have Islam denying a Jewish connection, there is a little bit of hope, because when Israel signed the accords with a number of different Arab countries, Islamic countries, they acknowledged the history of the Jewish people and the attachment of the Jewish people to Israel. So that's very nice. And we do have some Christian organizations that fully understand our connection to Israel. Christians United for Israel, Pastor Hagee, he's terrific. We have others who are on the ball and very helpful and truthful. So we have to embrace our friends and encourage our friends. But those who want to deny our right, we have to be in opposition 100% to them, and do not give them a platform. And for sure, do not give their so-called Jewish enablers a platform. Is there another video that we have in the studio that we could show as well? We had some very shocking videos that we're showing. I think there's another one. How's our studio going? Yep, looks like we have.
Let's see what I have in our file from the past, because none of this.
Or maybe you could. They use the term tikkun olam a lot, so I think you have something prepared on that. They say they're repairing the world.
Well, I think right before Passover, particularly in light of discussions we're having, I think Tikkun Olam, it has been hijacked by the progressive Jews. I mean, I think that they're so good at marketing that they've really deceived all of us. So I put together a little slideshow I'm going to present now on Tikkun Olam. So we're going to start off just by the commentary that there's confusion, and certainly you just so you know, Meir, you can butt in any time. We're both vocal at the present time. But what is the origin and meaning of this blessing? And it's not only a blessing, it's a responsibility. And it seems to me what happened in the 1950s and 60s, when so many American Jews were very liberal, very kumbaya, very hippie-esque, and they felt that the goal is to help everybody. In doing so, it seems they forgot about helping themselves. So I'm going to, again, a little talk. If anybody doesn't know who I am, that's when they refer to the doctor. That's me over here in the booth down in South Texas. So in reality, Tikkun Olam has nothing to do specifically with philanthropy, with soup kitchens, with political action, with homeless shelters. And again, as I said earlier, the progressive Jewish movement has seemed to just desecrated the intent and trivialized the entire meaning of what Tikkun Olam was actually meant to be. And the act wasn't accidental. The act was a premeditated deception carried out by ultra-liberal progressive Jews in order to recruit our young, malleable youth into this kumbaya atmosphere. And again, I was part of it as a teenager in New York, but most of us grew out of it. Unfortunately, too many did not grow out of it. Tikkun Olam does not have anything to do with black and Palestinian rights, with Black Lives Matter, with Antifa, with BDS. That's not what Tikkun Olam is. I suspect when the Jews we're speaking of, when we're talking about Passover, were fleeing Egypt, that they were not concerned with Egyptians' lives matter. That was not their priority. Their priority was Jewish lives matter also, and in that particular case, to prevent our extinction. So the first time that Tikkun Olam actually appears in Judaism is back in our prayers, in the Aleinu prayer. And where it says, speedily your mighty splendor, to remove idolatry from the land, and false gods will be cut off, to establish a world under the Almighty's kingdom. He's talking about the Jews, the chosen people. And that's where, as you can see, circled in red, that's where we first find Tikkun Olam. No one actually knows where the Aleinu came from. It's kind of interesting. But what it tells us is that God has not made us like other nations, nor has he placed us like the other families on the earth. And for some reason, the progressive Jews are embarrassed about this. Instead of being proud of this, they're embarrassed. He's not made our portion like theirs, nor is our destiny like the multitudes. So where does Aleinu come from? Well, some say Joshua was the first one to speak these words during his conquest of Jericho. Others say it happened during the period of King Solomon with the temple. Others argue that it happened not until after the destruction. Yet some claim that Rabbi Akiva was the first one to say it. So it's very interesting that we all say Aleinu in our synagogues and we pray, but there's no real documented history as where it started. So Tikkun Olam talks about our enemies, those from outside and from within, who have declared that in repairing the world, that requires our extinction. And not only has BDS and Black Lives Matter and the Palestinian rights, not only have they said this, but that's become the speech among progressive Jews. God, on the other hand, has declared that repairing the world by definition requires our survival. We should be proud of our accomplishments, Tikkun Olam, to make the world a better place, but not jeopardizing our survival in doing so. Progressive Jews seem ashamed and embarrassed of this. Hillel, the elder, said, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? Remember, the first thing he said is, who am not for myself. Only afterwards does he say that you can't only be for yourself and are not now when. When you really think about the origin of Tikkun Olam, it represents exactly what Rabbi Kahane had preached. It's what he lived for and what he died for, to make the world a better place, but first to make Israel a better place, and the Jewish people, which are God's chosen people. And we shouldn't be embarrassed. That's what God said. That's not only our dedication or prayer, it's our responsibility. As Kahane said, he prefers a powerful and proud Jewish state that is hated by the entire world, as opposed to an Auschwitz that is loved by all. And the progressive Jews don't get it. They think that if just everybody would love us, the Palestinians and the Black Lives Matter, then we'd be fine. We won't. We'll be extinct. So remember that when Hillel the elder made his quote, the first thing he said, if I'm not for myself, who will be for me? And this is what progressive Jews seem to be ignoring. As God's chosen people, we are obligated to accept this blessing as well as the responsibilities. We should make the world a better place, but not by sacrificing ourselves. In fact, self-preservation is also one of our responsibilities. When Rabbi Schneerson said, if you see what needs to be repaired and how to repair it, then you have found a piece of the world that has been left for you to complete. Again, but that doesn't mean through the extinction of our own people. I think in Tikkun Olam, that we owe it to all those Jews who suffered, who conquered, who endured, who perished, prevailed, to know and respect the true meaning of Tikkun Olam. So on Passover, I'd like to wish everybody a very happy Passover. And as we say, with sincere hopes, Meir, I hope that you and I get to spend some time together next year in Jerusalem. Absolutely. And now, Meir, here from South Texas, back to you in Toronto.
Okay.
And back to you. Thanks for giving me that time.
Well, very well put. Very well put. Listen, we're going to wrap up the show. Just got a few minutes. But again, if anyone has a question or a comment, you can call. Number again is 647-510-5535. A question or comment, no problem at all. And also, for our supporters out there, if you could please share this with the various groups and pages that you're part of, will reach a lot more people, have a stronger impact. I want to wish everyone a Chag Sameach, have a great kosher Pesach. Everyone has gone through a lot with the with the pandemic. We're reaching people all over the place, in different parts of Canada. And, once you're on social media, different countries, we're reaching people. I get calls all over the place. And there's different restrictions in different communities, some less. In Florida, apparently it's very easy. But in other communities, it's you can only have a few people over, for instance. And certainly last year for Passover, it was a real shock. You could have maybe, I don't know what it was, 2-3 people over at your home for Passover. It was horrible. And you can't have your grandparents over and all that. So hopefully, whatever communities you're in, it's a little easier, and you can spend some time where you have visited your parents or grandparents to wish them Chag Sameach and a great Pesach, and or you're going to be with them. So it's been a very difficult time for communities. Bear in mind also that Israel is opening up. Israel is leading the world in the battle against coronavirus, and hotels are opening up. So much is opening up in Israel. So, next year in Jerusalem, you could have Pesach properly in Israel, as opposed to in diaspora. So, my hope and prayer for everyone that everyone keeps the mitzvahs even more and embraces Israel much more. And remember, when we finish the Haggadah, when we finish it, it says L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. That's a cornerstone of Judaism. The Kuzari, he says there's 3 things that are the most important that we should know and we should grasp. And that is the Torah, the Jewish people, and the land of Israel. They all come together. In other words, you're not allowed to add or take away a letter from the Torah. You can't compromise on the Jewish people either. And you can't compromise on the land of Israel. Every grain of soil in Israel is holy. And when a Jew walks in Israel, it's a mitzvah, and it is invigorating to your soul. And when you attach yourself with the Torah, that's the ultimate. The 3 come together. And when you have Jews that are joining organizations that want to decimate Israel, that is one of the greatest abominations that exists today. And it has to be called out, and you can't placate them. Not at all. Never again has to have serious meaning. And it shouldn't be such a negative, because there's a good future for the Jewish people with Israel. Israel is thriving in many ways. And as Prime Minister Netanyahu has said, if he's going to be the man to lead Israel, he's got ideas to make Israel even stronger or more prosperous. He's got 4 more peace deals that he's saying that can come about. The future's looking good. The future for diaspora Jewry is not looking good. There's approximately 70% intermarriage rate. And when that happens, they're not exactly committed to Judaism, those Jews who are intermarrying at all. And therefore their connection and their idea about Israel is not so strong at all. And that's probably why the majority of the people who are part of J Street, they say it, that the majority of their membership is intermarried Jews, and they don't feel much of an attachment to Israel, and they're always condemning Israel. So we have challenges in front of us. And Judaism is beautiful. Judaism, you had Jews during the Holocaust and throughout the ages that rather than give up the Torah, they're ready to face death. And after all the sacrifice that our people have gone through, and now there's a land of Israel that's thriving with Jews, and Jewish identity and Jewish pride is very high in Israel. Don't give it up. So when you read the Haggadah, let it mean something to you. Let it mean something to you. Love your family and love the Torah. Thank you very much. Chag Sameach. I want to wish everyone the best, and please share this, and we'll be with you next week. And L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim. Thank you very much. Amen, amen.
Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel.